Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, a man was shot just before 1 a.m. in Durham. We'll show you the scene taped off in a neighborhood.
And visibility dropping in a few places. Our skies are clear now, but we're starting to see some patchy fog develop. I'll show you where.
And as many communities in our western mountain area remain cut off this morning, airdrops of supplies are becoming a crucial part of the relief effort. The operation taking off today to help those in need. I'll tell you where that one is. Another one was dropping off yesterday by air. A lot going on. We'll get to it here on our Thursday morning. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Great work by those crews. When you step outside, you'll notice it is feeling warm and humid, and you may see some patches of fog like what's behind Elizabeth. Good morning.
Good morning. This is a look at Lewisburg, and you can definitely see some foggy conditions here. Visibility is less than a quarter of a mile in Lewisburg. Temperatures in the triangle are in the mid 60s. Our dew point is 64, so that's a little lower than yesterday, feeling a little bit more comfortable. But we do still have enough moisture in the atmosphere that as we're clearing out, we're cooling off and starting to see some fog develop. So Lewisburg, there it is, less than a quarter of a mile. Wilson's at a quarter of a mile. Goldsboro, half a mile. And this is all likely to drop as we get through the morning. Quarter mile in Southern Pines right now, half a mile in Goldsboro. So it might be a much foggier morning than what we saw yesterday. Our temperature this afternoon in the low 80s. We have a very small, just 20% chance of a shower popping up later on this afternoon. We'll take a look at the Gulf of Mexico here. We've been following this all week. It's now down to a 30% chance that it could develop. Whatever happens is likely to stay to our south and bring a lot of heavy rain to Florida. We'll talk about what we'll see here through the weekend coming up.
With breaking news, we're following. Police are investigating a shooting that left one man injured in Durham. This happened around 12:45 this morning on Stadium Drive. Police were on the scene investigating for about 3 hours. No word on any arrests at this time.
Now to our coverage of Western North Carolina after Helene. Here's what's new in the recovery this morning. Power outage has been restored to about 1 million homes in that region. So crews are making significant progress. When we checked the website poweroutage.us minutes ago, there are still more than 300,000 homes without power. This afternoon, Governor Roy Cooper will travel to Boone to survey the damage there. He will also visit parts of Avery and Ashe County. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is also meeting with leaders in Western North Carolina today. His campaign did not say where exactly he will visit.
With those roads damaged all across Western North Carolina, getting supplies to people in rural areas has been a major challenge. One way around that has been pilots volunteering to make airdrops to communities that are cut off. WRAL's Heidi Kirk joins us live from the Raleigh Executive Jetport in Sanford. Heidi, good morning. They plan to make several airdrops over the next few days there.
Well, Jeff, good morning. It really is amazing to see. Take a look around me. This entire hangar is filled with supplies, all headed out to Western North Carolina this week to aid in the Hurricane Helene relief effort. Now, I want you to take a look over this way. Some of the supplies that you're going to see over here, you have things like food, diapers, supplies for people, things that some of these people may not have had in days now. It is really special. Now, they're relying on private citizens to bring their aircraft here, and they're loading them up right now as we speak. Now, take a look over this way. This is what you're going to see here at the Jetport this morning. Now, taking the supplies that you saw behind me and putting them directly into these aircraft to be taken out west. Now, as of yesterday, there were 10 airplanes that made trips from this hangar out west and over 5,000 pounds of donations. Now, organizers say they're relying on the community to make this happen.
We have tons of volunteers who are calling in and saying, how can I help? So if they have an airplane and if they want to load up their airplane and go, they are more than welcome to come and load up their airplane. So just reach out to us here at Elite Aircraft Services, MAG Aerospace, and we'll make sure to help them get their planes loaded and get out.
Now, Jeff, the question is, how can people like you help? So you can bring donations here to the Jetport anytime between 8 a.m. this morning and 6 p.m. They say that as soon as they fill up this warehouse behind me, these items are immediately getting weighed, loaded into planes, and taken out west. So really everything helps. They said as soon as these donations come in, the process gets started. And so anyone that's willing, we have a list of those items that are needed on our website, WRAL. WRAL.com. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Sanford.
The town of Tryon, south of Asheville, was badly damaged during Helene. People who live there, though, are already making significant progress on rebuilding. WRAL's Monica Casey joins us from Tryon this morning. And Monica, tell us about the progress being made there.
Yeah, Renee, we are seeing some slight improvements here in Polk County almost a week. All of this damage. One of these main east-west connectors for this area, Old 176, is still mostly shut down, but through side streets, we were able to get a look at some of the work that's underway here. Drone 5 flew over some of this damage late yesterday afternoon. Take a look at your screen here. You'll see a bridge that was totally washed out. Now a new one is nearly complete. It took us multiple tries to get to that spot yesterday. Even on parts of the roads around here that say they are open, you might find scenes like this: down trees blocking traffic in one direction and power poles half toppled over. Now, we have been monitoring Duke Energy's progress in these areas since yesterday. Buncombe County's numbers have remained mostly steady. Henderson County has improved by about 4,000 customers getting power back between yesterday afternoon and early this morning. Here in Polk County, Duke serves about 8,600 customers. Almost none of them have power back yet. Live in Tryon, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
The Asheville Police Department now has 8 Starlink units. It says will help them with communication. And this is all during its search and rescue operations. The department posted these photos last night of NASCAR driver Greg Biffle delivering the units. Biffle secured them through a partnership with SpaceX CEO Elon Musk.
After touring Western North Carolina, President Joe Biden announced the approval of 100% FEMA reimbursement for 6 months. He also announced he has directed the Defense Department to deploy up to 1,000 active soldiers from Fort Liberty to help. The president and Governor Roy Cooper took an aerial tour of the devastation before holding a briefing on the storm's impact at the State Emergency Operations Center in Raleigh. Officials say there have been 183 confirmed deaths from Helene, 94 in North Carolina.
A lot of people doing what they can yesterday. Almost 2,500 people donated to WRAL Cares, and we raised nearly $650,000 for those who are so in need in Western North Carolina.
Thank you for calling the WRAL Cares phone bank. Would you like to donate to the Red Cross?
And from over 7 hours yesterday, our phone lines were just jammed with viewers donating anywhere from $5 to $25,000. The money raised went to Red Cross and the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund, with all donations going to Hurricane Helene relief recovery. Now, it's local businesses that stopped in also to donate larger sums of money. At one point, a caller gave an unexpected donation of $25,000. Then Lenovo stopped in to donate $200,000. If you weren't able to participate during the telethon, that's okay. You can still donate. Just go to WRAL.com and search help.
Today, the teenager accused of stabbing his ex-girlfriend in a school parking lot last year is due back in court. A hearing is scheduled today in Moore County for Christopher Tarter. He's charged with attempted murder in the stabbing of Avery Slatcher outside Pinecrest High School. This was in April 2023. She was stabbed more than 20 times and suffered permanent nerve damage. Tarter's case started in juvenile court. He has since turned 18 and is now being tried as an adult.
We're learning more about a deadly accident in Cumberland County this morning. This is after 2 pedestrians were hit Monday night. Now, according to State Highway Patrol, a car was driving on Dunn Road shortly before 8 o'clock that night when the driver hit 2 people who were walking in the northbound lane. 19-year-old Robert Tatum Jr. was killed. 21-year-old Derico Brewington was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. A third person was walking on the northbound shoulder, and that person was not hurt. No charges have been filed against the driver at this time.
2 agencies are investigating a plastic facility in Tennessee after reports of employees being swept away in floodwaters during Helene.
We shouldn't have worked. We shouldn't have been there. None of us should have been there.
We'll hear from an employee who says when they were told they could leave work, it was too late.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams could soon face more federal charges. What prosecutors are now accusing him of doing?
And we'll give you a live look at North Hills right now. You can see the clouds there. It's going to be warm again today. We do have a cold front on the way, and meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us when it will start to feel more like fall around here.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
443, stepping outside this morning, you might run into some fog. There's a little better chance this morning than there was yesterday. 66 here in Durham, and you could definitely see some low cloud cover developing here over downtown Raleigh as we look past Dix Park, 66 degrees, and Fayetteville also starting off at 66. With these cooler temperatures, it causes all the moisture in the atmosphere to condense a little faster. So we're looking at quarter-mile visibility in South Hill and Southern Pines. It's half-mile in Rocky Mountain. We may continue to see more patchy fog as you're working your way out this morning. Temperatures are mainly in the low to mid 60s, just a little bit cooler than it was this time yesterday. And as the kids get off the bus this afternoon, still going to be warm with highs in the low 80s. Should feel fairly comfortable, but not really feeling like fall. I'll show you when we do have a nice push of fall air that rolls in coming up.
A jury will begin deliberations today in the trial of 3 former Memphis police officers charged in the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith face the possibility of life in prison if found guilty. The prosecutor accused the officers of being indifferent to Nichols' medical needs and not rendering aid. Defense attorneys say Nichols was a threat to the officers who were just doing their jobs. 2 other officers accepted plea deals and testified against their former colleagues.
New York Mayor Eric Adams could have additional charges added to his federal corruption case. Prosecutors say investigators have evidence Adams tried to tamper with a witness. They also say more people could be charged in this case. The next hearing is scheduled for November 1st. Adams is facing 5 federal counts of bribery, corruption, wire fraud, and soliciting and accepting donations from foreign nationals. He pleaded not guilty at his arraignment last week and has said he did nothing wrong.
An investigation into a wildfire that killed more than 100 people in Maui last year finds downed power lines sparked that fire. Hawaii officials announced the result of the investigation yesterday. They say those downed lines sparked a brush fire that firefighters believed they had extinguished. Officials say that fire rekindled hours later, and strong winds caused it to grow quickly. 102 people died on the island of Maui in that fire last August.
We're learning more about the victims of Helene's flooding in the North Carolina mountains. One of the victims, just 7 years old. This was Micah Dry, along with his grandparents, Nora and Michael Dry. They all lost their lives when they were stranded on a rooftop in Asheville and then swept away by floodwaters. Search and rescue crews are facing an enormous challenge as they work to identify victims and notify family members. Victims were sometimes carried miles away from their home in the floodwaters. People have been waiting a week to learn if their loved ones are okay, are begging for help. Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone is in Boone helping Watauga County crews conduct welfare checks. He says it's an arduous process.
We'll go to these homes, and some of the homes might not be there, or the people have left. So it takes an investigation. It's very time consuming, and it's very intense on what the office has got to do to locate people.
Sheriff Stone says anyone who is still trying to track down a loved one should call the State Emergency Operations Center or the nearest law enforcement office so that they can make a welfare check as soon as possible.
Authorities in Tennessee are investigating claims that employees of a plastics plant were not allowed to leave quickly enough during Helene's flooding. That led to several deaths of the workers there. Floodwaters from the Nolichucky River overtook the Impact Plastics plant. That's in Irwin, Tennessee, right near the North Carolina border. The company released a statement afterwards saying it was monitoring conditions and employees were dismissed when flooding reached the parking lot. Some workers say by that time it was too late.
I mean, there was no way out. Some people made it out with four-wheel drives, but if you didn't have four-wheel drive or if you were stuck in that line I was stuck in, it was too late.
And co-workers say some employees sought refuge on top of tractor trailers for nearly 2 hours before they flipped into the rushing water. Tennessee's Bureau of Investigation and OSHA are both looking into what happened.
Walmart is helping communities recover from Helene, distributing more than 40 truckloads of food and water to the hardest hit areas throughout the Carolinas today. The convoy will go out from the distribution center in Welford, South Carolina. Leaders from FEMA and the American Red Cross will help Walmart determine where the aid is most needed.
Bank of America says most customer accounts should be back to normal today after an outage that left some accounts displaying no balance. Reports of the outage started yesterday afternoon. A lot of customers said they could not see their account balances, and others were surprised to find their accounts showing up zero, empty. The bank has not specified what caused the problem.
It is 4:48, and as you're just waking up, we'll get you ready to step out the door. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner showing us some places where they're seeing fog.
Yeah, and here at 4:48, we give it another couple of hours, and it's likely to be even more widespread. We still have some moisture in the atmosphere, and our skies cleared overnight last night. So with clear skies, our temperatures can drop pretty quickly, and when they do, it causes the condensation that creates this fog, and that's what we're seeing here in Lewisburg. 66 is our temperature, our dew point 64. So that is a little bit lower, but our temperature now is close to the dew point. What this number is a couple of things. It's a measure of moisture in the atmosphere, but it's also the temperature at which the air is saturated. So as that 66 falls closer to 64, our air is more and more saturated, and it will create more and more fog. Right now we have visibility at 1/4 mile in South Hill and Goldsboro. It's 1/2 mile in Rocky Mount and Wilson, and 1/4 mile is what we would consider fog. 1/2 mile obviously getting pretty close to it. Goldsboro at 1/4 mile, Southern Pines at 1/4 mile. So a good bit more fog than we've seen the last several days. So we cleared last night, and all the warmth that was trapped here on the ground started to rise up into the atmosphere because warm air rises. And so then we cool things down here at the surface pretty quickly, and all the moisture that's here begins to condense into fog. And so that's why we have the foggy conditions out there this morning. And it's likely to be with us for a while and may have some impact on your commute in a few spots. It's 59 now in Roxborough, really cooling off there. 66 in Fayetteville, 63 Rocky Mount, 64 in Goldsboro. Temperatures this afternoon that will still be warm. 82 in Raleigh, 80 in Durham, and 85 in Fayetteville. Notice our dew point continues to stay on the humid side all the way into Monday. We're going to have to get into Tuesday or Wednesday before we start to see that nice drop into the comfy zone. We do still have temperatures that will be just above normal over the weekend. There's Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the yellow color contours. But once we get our big front come through, Wednesday, Thursday, look at that. A good bit of the East Coast turns below normal. Partly cloudy for us on Saturday and Sunday. Highs will be in the low to mid 80s. It should be a pretty comfortable weekend, just a little bit on the muggy side. Finally, into next week, October 8th through the 12th, we have a good chance of below normal temperatures, and all the warmth is back to the west. So what does it look like in October as we're kicking October off? Our normal high on October 1st is 78, and by October 31st, it is 68. So this is a month that we tend to see a good bit of change. Checking the 7-day forecast, our warmest day will be 85 on Saturday. It'll be a fine weekend to be out. Monday is still on the warm side, but then here comes fall with 73 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Still have some active storms in the tropics. I'll show you 3 of them coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Over the past decade, North Carolina has grown its craft beer industry. We'll show you how brewers from across the state are pitching in to help their neighbors in the mountains.
And we'll show you some amazing images of yesterday's solar eclipse and tell you when you can see the next big event. The Carolina Hurricanes and their fans raised more than $279,000 for hurricane relief at Lenovo Center last night. A sold-out crowd was in the arena for the game. The team sold tickets for $10, with all proceeds going to the relief effort. Funds were also raised through concession sales and a silent auction. The team says it will announce more fundraising efforts in the coming days.
Brewers in our area are coming together to help mountain communities. Western North Carolina is a foundation of our state's craft beer community. In Asheville alone, there are nearly 30 breweries. Rocky Mountain Mills is canning water to send to people in need. 3 pallets of water will be sent to the mountains. Rocky Mountain Mills is owned by WRAL's parent company, Capital Broadcasting. Several local breweries are participating in the Pouring for Neighbors fundraising initiative, with the proceeds going to the relief effort. Trophy, Deep River, and Full Steam beers are a few of the ones chosen for the fundraiser.
The Nash County Sheriff's Office is helping to get medical supplies to the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions in the mountains. They've delivered generators to aid a man on life support. Deputies have also supplied oxygen tanks and medications, and they're having to deliver these materials on ATVs or by foot, as many roads there are impassable.
People in parts of South America got to see the annular solar eclipse. It's from Chile's Easter Island. What you see here, some got to see that. Only parts of Argentina and Chile were able to see the Ring of Fire, they call it. The next full lunar event is the Hunter's Moon, happening October 17th. It'll be the closest supermoon of the year.
Progress is being made in the mountains to get power back on for people there. The newest outage numbers in North Carolina.
Also, crews will be back out looking for a missing Lee County teacher this morning who was swept away by floodwaters. We'll show you the terrain they face, which is making the search very difficult when WRAL News returns.